Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to Commute Talk. It's misty today, which is pretty cool, and sun's coming out on the horizon, and I got all my chores done, so should be able to do programming this weekend, which will be awesome. Really looking forward to that. But right now we're going to work, so I thought I would talk a little bit about Synthwave and how it relates to Serenity. So if you're not familiar, Synthwave is a genre of music that started getting popular around maybe 2014 or so. At least that's when I first came across it. And it's a style of electronic music that draws heavily on the aesthetics and sensibilities of 1980s pop, synth, and electro music. And but they use modern tools to create the music, and so it's like a genre that is 1980s in style, but modern day in production quality, and I find that is a very interesting mix, and I think it's very, very similar to the Serenity operating system, which takes 1990s software design and aesthetics and interaction models and stuff, and sort of reimagines them or recreates them using modern programming languages, modern tooling, and just modern stuff like being able to develop in a virtual machine, stuff like that. And I find that link very interesting, and I'm also really fond of Synthwave, so maybe I just want to talk about that. But I think it's probably the genre of music that I've been listening to the most in the last year. And so I really think that Serenity is kind of Synthwave software, or Softwave, or whatever you want to call it, where we are taking something that was, that we remember fondly, and we don't do the nostalgic thing where we go and dig it out and try to have fun with it again, but instead we try to take what was awesome about it and recreate that awesomeness using the best things that we have at our disposal today. So I really like that parallel there. And it's interesting also to think about how both in music and in software, people in the past, like people making music in the 80s and people making software in the 90s, they were certainly constrained by their tools, their software and their hardware, synthesizers and computers of the time. They were only so capable. Of course, it was within these constraints that a lot of innovation could happen, because you know how when you're putting all these limitations on yourself creatively, whether you're putting them voluntarily or if they're limitations put upon you by your toolkit, a lot of interesting innovation happens that you would otherwise not see, because if you can just power through and you don't have to care about tool limitations, then you end up with something different. And I think that's what we're doing now. Like, we are ending up with something different, and we don't see some of the interesting quirks that you might see if we were limited to 4 megabytes of RAM, or like the absence of a mouse would be a very real thing. But regardless, I think that that's a good thing. We can do something awesome with this, and I don't even know where I want to go with this. I just wanted to mention it because I think the comparison is just so good, and it really makes me excited to think about it, because I would love to see the same kind of thing applied to other software, not just an operating system, but I guess like the 2D platformer genre of games is already like well into this, right? Because it really had a huge resurgence after people got a little bit burned out on 3D stuff for a while there, and a lot of indie games started coming out doing 2D, and people got really excited about it. And maybe I'm talking out of my ass because I don't follow games well enough. Maybe there were always 2D platformers, but at least in the extremely popular sense, I feel like we've seen a resurgence in 2D gaming, and maybe we can do a resurgence in 2D operating systems. I don't know. It's interesting to think about. Yeah. So just a little thought here on the way to work. So I guess I don't have much more to say about that, so I'm just gonna let it go. But I will say thanks for hanging out with me on the commute today. And since it's the last day of the work week, let's go and have a good work day and see if we can kickstart a good weekend. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.